Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. This is a book summary of The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat by Oliver Sacks. So let's address the elephant in the room first. This is, without a doubt, the most brilliant book title I have ever seen. Okay, let's get back to the regularly scheduled programming. A collection of more than 20 stories about patients with a variety of neurological issues is collected by Dr. Oliver Sacks in The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. With each story, the ailments are given a more human face by shedding light on the medical details of the diseases while also illustrating how those diseases manifest themselves in the thoughts and actions of the patients themselves. The following are the three most important takeaways from the book. A story can convey more information about a disease's facts than any historical document could ever hope to convey. Some patients devise strategies to work around the symptoms of their neurological illnesses as a way of dealing with them. Mentally ill people are often evaluated medically, with the emphasis placed on their deficiencies rather than their abilities and benefits. Lesson 1, a story can convey more information about a disease than a historical document could ever hope to accomplish. It is difficult to capture the full picture of life with an illness and a case history because the information is detached from the circumstances. Instead, the focus should be on the patient, because the disease's story introduces a who corresponds to the what. Being able to put a face to a name brings the disease together by transforming a case history into a narrative. A narrative rather than a case history is used to tell the story of the disease because it highlights aspects of the condition that are only visible when the patient is suffering from the disease. With a list of symptoms and treatments, it is impossible to encompass all of these components. The life story of a patient, rather than a series of textbooks and case studies, can provide more than just a baseline of how their illness has affected their body. Putting a name and a face to a story has the immediate effect of making it far more relatable to the audience. Consequently, instead of being a patient suffering from a malignant brain tumor that causes recurrent reminiscence hallucinations, you are known as Bhagawandi P. In her adolescence, Bhagawandi battled a tumor that plagued her for the rest of her days. She experienced increasingly long periods of dream states in which she saw images of India, the country where she grew up, until she passed away. As a result of these stories, a much larger audience can understand the science. Assuming you're anything like me, you aren't a doctor, although if you are a doctor, please continue reading. Every bit of scientific jargon and concepts will be confusing to the average reader, like myself. Instead, the average reader will gain a better understanding of the disease as a result of reading these stories. Lesson 2, some patients devise strategies to cope with their neurological illnesses by finding ways to work around their limitations. Throughout the book, many patients learn to cope with their neurological diseases and discover ways to live a somewhat healthy life despite their circumstances. This is a condition known as proprioception, which means Christina lost feeling in her body. Despite this, she was able to move her body by using her vision as a guide to do so. She could learn to move frequently and maintain a regular daily routine if she relied solely on her eyes. Think about Mr. McGregor, who lost his ability to perceive when he was leaning one way or the other. Another potentially offensive joke is about to be delivered. Take heart, he's fine at the moment. On the other hand, he had custom-made glasses with a level built-in that would alert him if he was leaning to one side or the other. Because of this, he was able to correct his posture almost immediately and maintain his balance. Contrary to popular belief, many patients have difficulties adjusting to life with their illnesses. The ability to function normally may be lost for some people forever. In some cases, however, as demonstrated by the examples we provided, it is possible to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles, at least to a certain degree. The patient may not be able to cure the problem or disease at this point, but the desire to remain functional is strong enough to motivate him or her to find ways to work around the problem or disease. Some of Mr. McGregor's strategies, such as his glasses, can be applied to other patients as well. 3. Medical evaluations of the mentally ill tend to focus on deficiencies rather than any abilities or benefits the individual may have possessed. A patient's condition and the treatment options available to them can be poorly understood by assessments. Deficits, defects, and abnormalities are the primary focus of neurologic evaluations. All of these sections of the review have a negative connotation attached to them, as you can see. In this generation, there is less emphasis placed on abilities and any obvious abnormalities in the body. More impactful than formal and detached notes in a chart or dots on a graph is seeing a person's musical composition, life story, personality, and inspiration. These evaluations have a tendency to be overly critical of what is wrong while being underappreciative of the positive aspects. Digging a little deeper and delving into specific narratives will give you a better understanding of what has been preserved or preserved in its original condition. It is possible to overlook aspects of a patient's personality that could contribute to a better way of life if one is only concerned with the negative and what has been lost or is in excess. Furthermore, it could mean disobeying a crucial clue as to what the most appropriate treatment might be in that patient's particular situation. A patient's condition and the treatment options available to them can be poorly understood by assessments. Deficits, defects, and abnormalities are the primary focus of neurologic evaluations. All of these sections of the review have a negative connotation attached to them, as you can see. In this generation, there is less emphasis placed on abilities and any obvious abnormalities in the body. More impactful than formal and detached notes in a chart or dots on a graph is seeing a person's musical composition, life story, personality, and inspiration. These evaluations have a tendency to be overly critical of what is wrong while being underappreciative of the positive aspects. Digging a little deeper and delving into specific narratives will give you a better understanding of what has been preserved or preserved in its original condition. It is possible to overlook aspects of a patient's personality that could contribute to a better way of life if one is only concerned with the negative and what has been lost or is in excess. Furthermore, it could mean disobeying a crucial clue as to what the most appropriate treatment might be in that patient's particular situation. It was an eye-opening experience for me. An extensive amount of information can be gleaned from such a novel. In the first place, if you're the type of person who is interested and curious about everything, you'll enjoy reading this book simply for the sake of learning something new. But there is a lot anyone can take away from the book, despite its flaws. When we face seemingly insurmountable obstacles, it can be difficult to stay motivated and keep moving forward. We must, however, look for innovative solutions that place an emphasis on abilities rather than disabilities during these challenging times. You can also look at personal narratives rather than just facts when conducting further research on a topic. While there is no such thing as a subjective story, it is nearly impossible to get a complete picture of a situation by only looking at numbers and charts. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.